I was in the Marines 1966 through 1968 instead of going to college. And though I didn't ever go to Vietnam, I supported the war because I believed that John Kennedy was serious when he said if we don't stop them there, they'll be in California, that the dominoes will fall. So I was somewhat patriotic, but I wasn't a typical Marine. And only after I got out, having seen what other Marines reported doing, did I turn against the war.
I came to the decision to join the military because the Vietnam War was still going on. It had been going on for quite a few years. I grew up kind of watching the TV at night on the news and watching the body count at the top of the television screen. And a few of my buddies that I graduated school with, we all decided that we were going to go into the military and hopefully get over there and serve our country in Vietnam. And so we all did. We all went down to Poughkeepsie, signed up at the same time. And I guess I was the only one that lived the dream of going overseas and serving. Although, nothing wrong with, you have to have people that serve in the United States as well as different countries in the world because we're all over the place.
Because the 2-year program that I was in required me to serve 6 years. I could have at any point been called back. And so I kept my uniform, all in the closet, thinking at any time, like the Tet Offensive almost pulled me back in when the North Vietnam Army came into Saigon. So during those 6 years, I didn't really turn against the war because I thought I might still have to be part of it because it was my obligation and I did sign up for it. But after that was over, then I realized I'm not a pacifist. There are just wars. Sort of what Obama said when he got the Nobel Prize. There are times when you have to go to war. But it was very clear to me that there was, in conversation or in my work, talking to other people, especially men, who were ashamed of having avoided the war. They were just scared often, and they apologized. And they really couldn't understand why I would have become a pacifist after having served, until I met some older people, certainly World War II people. Anyone who's in combat usually says, war's hell. Just, do everything you can to make the politicians think 3 times before. So it took maybe 6 years for me to have a firm commitment to any time it would come up, I'd say, war sucks. Do everything you can. Threaten, but make diplomacy work and listen to the will of the people and make sure Congress declares it, not the president.
I can tell you a lot about that time. Everybody I knew, everybody was scared because we hated the war. We thought it was a terrible mistake. And we knew that American kids were getting killed over there. And everybody I knew was mostly students, so a lot of people had student deferments, but nevertheless, people were still being called up. I have a friend, a very dear friend in New York, who's an artist, and he was absolutely determined that no matter what happened, if he were called up, he wasn't going to go. So he showed up for his draft physical, right, and all the guys were told to strip down to their underwear. And he didn't wear any underwear on purpose. So he's the only person standing there who's naked. Then they asked the guys to urinate into a little cup because they were going to do like a drug test or something. And he made sure to pee all over his feet and the floor, to make a deliberate mess, because he wanted to give the people who were examining him the impression that he was nuts. And it worked. And they said he was unfit for service. So it worked, and he's alive.
I supported the Vietnam War. I thought we were doing the right thing. I grew up in the 50s, right after World War II, where we had a lot of communist aggression in the world, and I kind of grew up to believe that somebody had to stop the communist aggression over in Asia, over in Europe. We were doing that by rehabilitating Germany and kind of keeping the Russians back from taking over. So I kind of think that in the ideological sense, we were doing the right thing. We might not have done it right, but I think the thought process there of making people safe and not being under oppression from a totalitarian or tyrannical regime was a good thing to do. I'm just sorry it didn't work out probably the way everybody thought it.
It wasn't justified. No, I don't believe it was justified. I mean, in the Gulf of Tonkin, we contrived a situation where a North Vietnamese boat hurt one of our boats and was used as an excuse to go in and clean up the mess. So no, there was no justification, and it was the right of sovereign people to hash out their civil war, if that's what it was about.
Well, it was very hard to serve my country, but in certain respects, I was very glad to do it. Had a lot of pride in serving, taking care of this country and taking care of my family and people I didn't know, but
we didn't think of ourselves as imperialists. We weren't told that we were imperialists, but we were. We wanted to have a real foothold in Asia. And so what could be more inspiring than to go save these little people from communism? It was everywhere.
I think the United States was justified in going to Vietnam to help the South Vietnamese or the Vietnamese people not come under a communist regime, but I think the United States of America was wrong to send the military over there to prop up the French, who were using the place as a colonial part of their empire.
Shameful, dishonest, and near genocide.
I guess ugly would kind of be a good one, especially if you see some of the pictures like the My Lai massacre. You've seen that. Maybe valiant, because I think a lot of the guys served did it for good purposes. I'm sure that after they experienced it and everything, kind of changed their minds a little bit. A shame. A shame that actually all had to happen. The waste of human lives, resources. We lost almost 59,000 people from this country now. And what's account for the Vietnamese people? Millions, probably. All the bombing. Maybe do-over. If we could just do-over. Yeah. But we're not learning our lesson. We're doing the same thing again now.
Gruesome, illegal, foolish, criminal. It was a criminal war. We had no business being there. And we were trying to extend our empire. It was an imperialist war. I mean, I know I'm using the vocabulary of the very far left, but I think that's the correct vocabulary. It was a terrible criminal enterprise. And we couldn't possibly win it